What's up, guys? I'm Alex.
I'm Jason. We're the Table Monkeys, and we are back with another analysis video.
And today we're going to analyze your matches from Wasaga, Club Mantis.
Yep.
I was supposed to be there, but I had food poisoning, so I didn't make it. But you had some good wins, some good losses that you can learn from.
Yep.
So
yeah, lots of takeaways from this tournament, both positive and like Alex said, learning like negatives that I can learn from and stuff. So first of all, let's look at the matches, and then we will tell you our thoughts.
Over or under?
I like both. Under.
Don't move it. Over or under?
Over.
You said under.
Sorry. Over.
Hold it there. Ready, go! Yeah!
Look at that. Ray holding on, not letting it hit him. Trying to ball back, but then it's over to the strap.
On your thumb or below it? Below. Hold it there. Ready, go!
Hey! Oh, it's a really good. He's not having it. Trying to ball back.
Elbow foul.
Ends up with the elbow foul.
Table Monkeys exclusive.
Like and subscribe. Go! Oh!
Come on, Ray! Ray!
Come on, Chinese! Watch his elbow. Good. Twice his come back. Watch your elbow. Woo! Yeah! Same thing, only harder. Rap, you first. Over or under?
Under.
Over or under?
Under.
Hold it there. Ready, go!
Stop. Elbow foul. Elbow foul, Jason.
Hold it there. Ready, go! Hard, Jason. Drive hard, Jason.
Ray takes the win.
Under.
Hold it there. Ready, go!
Jason with the big hit. Ray bringing him back across the table. Comes back from the
Wrist ball, Jason. Wrist ball. Ready, go!
and they're off.
Show him, Bill.
Big hit from both sides. Stuck in the
Go
middle.
to the side. Go to the side.
Bill trying to hook and drive through. Jason holding on.
Yeah, Jason, let's go. Come on. Come on, Jason.
Both guys remembering three. Makes a huge difference. Huge power across the table.
Drag him, Johnny. Drag him out.
There you go. Come on. It's on your side. Let's go.
Not enough. Bill hanging on.
Come on.
And I'm not going over his resume.
Mike, you gotta come down. A little more, Mike.
Be ready. Ready, go!
Foul from the pressure. Jason coming through with a surprise win.
Down on this torn arm here. Wrist.
You got it, Jay.
Ready, go!
Let's go, Jay.
Big pull.
Come on, Jason.
Yannick trying to
Hold
drive
it. There
through.
you go. Hold it. Let's go. Let's go.
Don't turn away.
Yannick
Come on,
driving.
hold it.
Jason got the brakes on.
Bring it.
Coming back across the table. Hits the pin like.
Understand? Okay, so now I'm gonna cover his muffle.
Go! That was easy!
Statement from the Crusher. I told you he was only warming up. Look what you unleashed, people.
What was that?
All right, guys. So first thing we want to talk about is the right-hand matches. It wasn't a very big class right-handed. Pretty much just Ray and myself. There were two other guys who are both a lot smaller than Ray and I, so we just kind of ran through those two guys ended up having to face each other 3 times in total. Historically, on right arm, Ray beats the shit out of me in practice, so I was very, very happy, A, to get a win on him, and B, to put up the fight that I did over the course of the sort of small tournament that we had to complete together. But just to put into perspective, Ray is basically the same dimensions as Devin, but with a possibly bigger hand, like thicker hand. So he's got a massive hand and lever to deal with. He's, you know, really strong as well. Trains pretty hard, trains with Armed and Dangerous. So he's a well-versed arm wrestler. He's been pulling a little bit longer than myself. And like I said, he always beats me up in practice. So I knew that initiating the hook was the best way to deal with him. And I think that's the biggest positive from the tournament, both left and right arm, was the performance of my hook.
Yeah, typically you've had a little disconnect with your body when you're shooting for the hook, and you kind of fall backwards into the hook where you're like separating from your arm. And obviously this is a very shitty hook, and you're not going to have a lot of connection, right? So you were definitely a lot better at staying close to the table, close to your hand, keeping that string close to your face.
Exactly, which is one of the things that I really tried to focus on from the last performances that I've had. Is like Alex said, in watching the videos, I just noticed how much, predominantly in the Arm Fight Club tournament, how what Alex is saying is instead of initiating and staying tight to the table, I initiate back like I want to drag or hit outside, but I'm initiating a hook with my arm, so I end up in this kind of open position, which at practice with guys who aren't as strong as I am works fine, and it doesn't really matter. But once I'm against guys that are competitive with me, it's a horrible position to be in, and I was just getting opened up a lot in the last tournament when I shouldn't have. So I really wanted to try to focus on that, and after seeing the video and going back and seeing how I performed, I could still shoot forward a little bit more maybe, but I was definitely keeping a much tighter connection. Like Alex said, the strings that we talk about in our technical videos was all looking a lot better, so that was definitely a positive takeaway. Plus, I feel like my hand, like my flexion strength, was definitely more up to par than it has been in the past.
Strengths are definitely very equal there, like between
for sure
Ray's top roll and your hook.
Yeah, especially in the strap. In the strap, I felt like completely comfortable. You can even see at one point I'm just kind of holding him as he's grunting away, and I'm talking to the ref about elbow fouls, which was another kind of mistake that I made, is being too worried about the reffing and not paying enough attention to the actual match. So that's something I will work on mentally to stay more focused on what's happening in the match and not worrying about whether or not fouls are being called. But yeah, in the strap, felt great against him. So I think arm for arm, I probably had him beat. He was beating me in the hand later on was what happened. And also, I guess I started to make some mistakes with initiation. This is something you hear Devin talk about that he learned with his match with Taurus, that he's learned over and over and over and over again, is that just because, so like again with Ray, I needed to get here, but if I just shoot for here, I leave him the ability to rise first and get into my fingers. What I did in the first round was I initiate high and then come down. And by initiating high, he has to fight with me high, which allows me to turn him into a hook without having his pronation set like this. By just diving down on his arm, it gives him the chance to rise up and get into my fingers, which is what he did as an adjustment for the second and third round when we pulled. Once I got to this position here, I tried to drag on him, couldn't really drag on him. In doing so, I gave him a little bit more of my hand, which really allowed him to pull me over. I tried to hang on and see if I could get a stop out here, which is not how or where you want to get a stop. When I realized I couldn't, I tried to roll, which was just giving him more and more of my hand. So the basic premise of what I did wrong was running for the strap. And I guess the takeaway is to commit forward more, right? So
yeah, commit forward more. Once you're like, obviously you messed up from the initiation.
Yeah.
But if you get stuck in this position, you're not getting your hook, you're not finding your way back in, you're not going to roll out, right? So you have to just keep committing forward for what you're going for. So that's, in that case, we're going forward, pressing.
Yeah.
I can either, if you're holding on, maybe I get the pin. Or if not, at least I slip and when I get to the strap, which is what I want, right?
Yeah, exactly. I wanted the strap, and I ran for it as opposed to diving for it, I guess, might be the way to think about it. And like Alex said, I needed to just continue to commit forward. The takeaways, commit further once you've gone to a certain direction, and also initiate from the top of the hill down. You can't jump to the spot on the hill that you want. You have to fight for the top and end up in the spot that you know is going to work. Because if you just jump for it, you're leaving some bases uncovered, which give your opponent an opportunity to take advantage of it.
Exactly. All right, so that was your right-handed matches. Let's go over your left-handed matches now, which was a bit more exciting, right? More pullers. You got to pull Mike Gould, Bill Cameron, Ray, and Yannick.
I didn't actually pull Ray on left hand.
Oh, sorry, not Ray, but Yannick. So a nice variety of different styles.
Yep.
So why don't we start with your pull with Bill?
Pull with Bill, yeah, for sure. So my pull with Bill was one of the losses that I got to learn from, obviously, and it was a lot of a very fun match for both of us because it kind of dynamically went in a lot of different directions. We both hit high off the go. So Bill is a very, very efficient, high posting top roll on his left hand. He likes to hit high and straight to the side and is very, very, very fast. So the fact that I was able to kind of match his hit and neutralize the top position with him, even if you can see the hands, my hand is kind of winning in that top position. I was very, very happy with that. And then kind of having the table savvy to once I was out here like this and feeling him kind of getting compromised, I felt like I felt not a lot of resistance here. So I just got myself cupped. I was a little bit far away from my arm where I didn't want to be. He went for a drive. When he goes for that drive, I'm able to hold him off enough that I can reposition my body and get close, which is where I want it to be. Then I open his arm up a little bit. He makes an elbow hop as he's coming back to get close to his arm. And once again, I get all distracted talking to the ref and worrying about the fouls as opposed to getting further behind my arm. And if I had have just dug my hook in deeper at that point, committed further, like we said earlier, I probably would have ended up winning that match. But by taking that second to talk to the ref about his elbow bouncing around, it gave him a chance to start rolling into my fingers. And once you can see us kind of fighting back and forth for that a bit, but once he really starts to roll, I try to roll again, and he's again a little bit more table savvy than me, commits right away when he's supposed to a press, and that's all she wrote. So again, the main takeaway is once you've gone somewhere, you've got to continue to commit to it. I was sort of running for the strap again. I knew that with Bill in the strap would be a totally different match for me. So that's where I was kind of thinking about going or trying to get to. Even in the beginning, I'm trying to get out of his hand, but he's got such a good grip on my hand, it's not going to work. So I say, hey, I feel the hook, I go for that. And then again, when it starts to roll, I thought I had an opportunity to slip out. But it's the same as the situation with Bill, where I'm sort of slipping from, like my hand is already being compromised a bit, and I'm trying to slip here. And because he's got enough coverage and he switches to the press quick enough, I'm just in a totally, rock, paper, scissors, like compromised position. There's no way for me out of it there.
A super entertaining match. Great little battle.
Yeah, and definitely showed that the table IQ is starting to improve, and that I'm getting a lot better with my movement on the table. I'm not just away from my arm the whole time and relying on the strap or on my, pronation and rise to just hold up. So that was very satisfying. Then my my two wins, or two big wins on left hand, would have been my win against Mike Gould, which was really, really satisfying, obviously. So basically, when we got to the table, I asked him if he wanted to go strap. He said, yeah, right away. So I didn't have to fight for the strap. We both agreed to it. The second time we pulled, he didn't want the strap, which ended up working more in his favor. So, but he loves pulling with the strap, so he was totally okay to say, let's go straight to the strap in the first match. But once we got strapped together, he could tell that strength-wise, I had a lot of control in the strap. And basically, in the strap, I just feel so much more able to neutralize people's hits. So outside of the strap, we'll just talk about both my Mike Gould matches, I guess. Outside of the strap, he's very good at not showing where he's going to go on the hit. Like, I can feel tension and I can feel that he's strong, but he's not giving me like a ton of backload or a ton of like trying to carve in. So it's really hard to tell where he wants to go. And he also has a way of leaving it, like making a certain lane feel open that he'll just close up. So when I'm gripping up with him, I feel like this lane is wide open, and then on the go, he just kind of like, that's exactly the lane that he takes away and cuts down right away on me. He did it to me at Provincials, and then he did it again at Club Mantis, and it's just a very fast initiation. I feel like I got caught off guard. Afterwards, he told me, he was like, oh man, I was just trying to go as fast as possible. As soon as I felt like the match was about to start, I was out of there. And when you look back at it, it was a perfect start. Like, I wouldn't say that he went early. He went like a split second before the go, if not right on the go. So there's no way it was going to get called, like, ever. So kudos to him. It was a perfect hit. But from my perspective, it felt like, oh shit, I didn't even know that we were going to go. Which, if you do it right, that's how your opponent should feel. So you can see his reaction afterwards. What was that? You know, there's nobody who's more satisfying to be yelled at than Mike Poole.
What you unleash, people?
What was that?
So I can definitely happy to be yelled at by him anytime. But yeah, those were my 2 matches with Mike. Really happy with the win. Again, in the strap, I could kind of neutralize his hit, and then I was able to come up and set my hook similar to what I did with Bill. But because we were in the strap, he was tied to me, and it was an easy day after that. And then my match with Yannick, similar to my match with Ray on right hand. So Yannick, again, very big hand, very long lever, very good, like, posting top roll to the side, lots of side pressure. So same as Ray, I just wanted to initiate high, and as we initiate and he starts to go to the side, I'm trying to just dig that hook in. He did get me a little bit further, like outside my arm, than I wanted, but you can see once I saw him get tired, I drag him in, get myself a little bit closer, and then just start turning him over and trying to drag for the finish. So again, with that match, I think the takeaway was just that I'm getting much more comfortable at feeling staying tight to my body and getting behind my hook, as opposed to trying to hook with all bicep and arm, like I'm trying to pull the match into me. I understand more about getting, like, my body behind it, so I've actually got structure defending my position, not just musculature. So yeah, for me, I think those are the main takeaways. I've got I think it's a lot of mental focus that I need to work on for my matches coming up. Because of work and stuff, which we talked about a little while ago, training hasn't been as on point as I wanted, but the main things that I've been trying to focus on are basically containment, like wrist flexion and back pressure. I feel like the same kind of method as Levon, like those are definitely the most important strengths. So the more I can just kind of maximize those, the better everything else will come into play. And then the other objective so the next match or the next tournament that we're both going to be doing will be the Ottawa Open. And my main focus for that is going to be, like I said, flexion and back pressure, and then just trying to be as fresh as possible. I wasn't 100% fresh by any means for Club Mantis.
We've had a lot of pulling these last couple months, right?
Yeah,
a lot of tournaments going on.
Yeah.
So we're going to make sure that Ottawa Open's the last one of the year for us. And for a lot of people, so we want to make sure that we're very fresh for it. We can do really well, have some good performances, and then after that, we'll take some time off and rebuild.
Yeah, exactly. And I think there's so much to be said for being fresh. A lot of guys, you know, you try to pull a lot of tournaments and you don't really realize how beat up you are until for some reason you get a longer break than you intended, and you're more rested than you intended, and then you get back on the table, and lanes that you didn't think you had all of a sudden are there because they're not sore anymore. You have a lot of, like, neurological connections where you don't even feel like you want to go to a certain place just because your body knows that it's not very healthy at that time, right?
That's not a good way to practice, right? Because then you're not practicing what you should be good at or what lanes you're going to need to go to in a match. So
yeah, it doesn't mean you rest all the time. Obviously, you want to push yourself, but you need to kind of know when to lay off in order to be your freshest for a competition. And I guess what I'm also trying to say is that if you show up fresh, you're going to have more options than if you were maybe more practiced and you feel like the lanes are more there, but you're not as fresh. You might actually have better options if you were just fresh, but a little bit of time away from the table, you know?
Yep.
So it's always about balancing, you know, readiness and freshness. Readiness comes from being prepared, like doing the motions, but freshness comes from resting and not overtraining. So it's the balance between the two, and as you get older, as I am, you know, getting to almost 40, that gap, even with any kind of, you know, enhancements, that gap that it takes from being beat up to being fresh just continues to get longer. It doesn't really matter what you're on or what you're doing. As you get older, it gets longer. So it's taking me, you know, you might take 2 weeks off before Ottawa. I'm going to take 3 weeks off before Ottawa. A lot of that just has to do with the 12-year age difference that, you know, it's kind of unavoidable at that point, right? So, so yeah, I think that's
overall great performance at Mantis.
Yeah, very happy with it.
Yes, looking good for Ottawa Open, which should be a much bigger tournament, bigger classes, more stacked. So
yeah, it's going to be a
great
huge
footage from that.
Huge tournament. Yeah, I expect all the big guys to be there. I'm pretty sure Evan and Ian and maybe Rick, like, should be a lot of really, really serious competition. The trophies are super awesome, so I would love to walk away with at least a bronze, but obviously going in with the mentality of winning gold and giving it our all, both of us. So are you gonna try to make 210 for that one? Because that's the weight class. Yeah.
I'll be 210.
So he's gonna try to make 210. Hopefully, should line you up for a really nice performance. I'm going to come in as strong as possible, take on the big boys, and same thing. Hopefully we can both podium and walk away with one of those Buffalo trophies because they are badass.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway, that's the video. Like the video.
Yep. Please some feedback down in the comments.
Subscribe,
all those things.
And
monkeys out.
Peace.